Hey guys, welcome to another live stream. I'm trying to do this again from the park. So hopefully everything is connected up okay. If there's anybody here, if you can hear and see me, if you can give me a 1, that would be good. If you can't hear me or see me, give me a heads up on that as well. I think we have maybe 1 or 2 people here. I'm not entirely sure. I'm gonna try to do this a little more normal than I normally would, but I want to make sure that it's actually working. Let's see. Looks like my signal's bouncing all over the place. Oh, I was going to record this too. Okay, cool. So now I'm recording it. All right, cool. Oh, good. I got some 1s. Okay, so you guys can hear and see me. Thank God. Holy crap. Okay, so I am trying another park live stream. I had to move at one point because someone else decided they wanted to be where I was going to be. So hopefully we can get this going. I am going to try to hit a topic. It's going to be weird if my signal keeps bouncing up and down, so I'm a little worried about that because it looks like it is. But you know, hey, maybe that's normal. All right. So, geez, glad you guys joined me today. Hopefully everything works. Hopefully my audio is not too hot. Let's see. So tonight's show is going to be about anxiety and CPTSD. This actually came out of a conversation I was having with Leslie earlier today. We were talking about some different things, and it was kind of the catalyst for this topic. So hopefully you guys appreciate that and it works out okay. So I'm going to start out with my normal disclaimers. I am not a therapist. I'm an individual much like you guys who's gone through a difficult toxic divorce, and I've come up with some tips and techniques to basically figure out how to do it that I share with you to hopefully help you through it. If you are new to this and you want to be anonymous online, one thing that's nice about YouTube is it does give you the opportunity to do that, so you can change your name to something different, like Rescued by Mary, James the Reviver, 11 Kids. I'm just looking at some of the names that are up, so that's something that you can do. Diagnoses, be careful throwing around the term saying what you think your ex is, calling them an NPD or BPD or some other medical term. Unless you have a diagnosis, be incredibly careful of that, because you don't want to get yourself into trouble by claiming they are something that they haven't been diagnosed, because it hurts your credibility. Still doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, understand what they are and make changes for it, but don't torpedo yourself on that. If you want to get my attention during the live stream in the online chat on a PC and maybe a tablet, you can put, I don't know, I'm going to see if I can move this over here. You can, let's see if I go like this. Nope, that didn't work. Whoops. Ugh, I hit the wrong button and you guys weren't hearing anything. If you are new to the channel and this stuff seems like it would be something that would be helpful for you, please consider hitting the subscribe button, ring the bell notification so that YouTube will tell you what's going on. And if you have not signed up for the DSD newsletter, you can do that over at dadssurvivingdivorce.com. There's a dialogue that pops up. You can do that. I don't think I can pull it up because I'm having all kinds of problems right now with that. Let's see if I can. Let's see what happens if I go like this. Nope. There we go. So if you go over to the DSD site, you can scroll. Oh, you can't even see it because of the way it is. But there's a dialog box if you want to do it. I've also opened a Patreon, so if you want to channel through that, you can become a patron. I am posting some behind-the-scenes stuff on there and some extra stuff that I will not post on publicly to YouTube. So if you're interested in that, you can check that out. And on that, holy cow. Oh, my signal completely died. Okay, it looks like I'm back. Nope, doesn't look like I'm back. Now it's back to 0. All right, maybe I'm back now. I think I'm back, maybe. So it looks like the signal's really giving me havoc today. It's like going from red to 0 to whatever. What the L? Hey, Wealthy L, welcome to the channel. Says, hello everyone, new subscriber and first time live stream participant here. Well, welcome, glad you could join us. And it's Duane, not Doug. It's probably auto spell. And guys, I don't know, it looks like my signal is dropping a lot. So I am trying to record this, so maybe what I'll do is after it's over, I will post the non-screwed up version back to YouTube. Yeah, so, okay. Mentioned the Patreon, mentioned the newsletter, did all the normal stuff to do that. So let us see who all is here. So according to my nifty stats, it looks like Lyle's here. Jacqui is here. Welcome. GLH280. Welcome to the live stream. Welcome to the show. Hannah is online. Rescued by Mary. Tara. Jesus. James. 11 kids. John Boston. What the L? All right, guys. All right. So what I want to try to do now is, and you notice I'm actually got the whole thing running. So even my little stats are right here. So I'm kind of running a full thing. So that'll be interesting to see how that works out. If my signal doesn't completely die on me. All right. So what I wanted to get into is gauging anxiety. Now this conversation came up because I was talking with Leslie Powers earlier today, and we were talking about a couple of different things that were a bit different. Not different, but just how sometimes things affect us. So I thought I would make this the topic of today's live stream. We're going to jump into 3 areas. Basically, we're going to cover a little bit of CPTSD for the folks who do not understand or know what CPTSD is. Then we're going to look a little bit into the details on my thoughts on what's happening, and then some ways to how to move forward on that. And let's see, I'm going to look at the comments. Oh, okay, see, it seems like some people are the signal strength is working okay. Awesome, that is great, that's great news. Okay, so the first thing I want to get into is CPTSD, which is complex post-traumatic stress disorder. This is the definition off the web that you can look at, and basically, I'll just read it. Is a traumatic related mental health condition that results from sustained abuse and powerlessness over time. CPTSD is related to but different from post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. And the main difference on this is you often don't know where it comes from. PTSD is, you can typically directly relate it to a trauma. If you had an accident or something, and then being in a car makes you really anxious or stressed, or let's say you relive, you're reliving that event and you're reliving it frame by frame, that's basically PTSD. CPTSD is whenever you're having these anxiety, emotions and feelings and you don't necessarily know where they're coming from and you're not sure what the trigger is. And the big problem with that is as it's affecting you, you may not realize it. So what I want to get into on this, and just let me just double check, if I got everything, if my CPTSD definition was good, and if there's no questions, or if it's good, give me a 1. If there's a question, just tag my name and say question so we can cover that before I move on. I might have to give me some light. I did bring a bigger light this time, so on a little tripod. I'm not sure if it's going to be a problem or not. Oh, there we go. Actually, that's a little nice. Oh, sweet. Okay. All right. So I got a thumbs up. So I'm assuming. Oh no, that's to someone else. So I'm not sure how long I'm buffering on this. So I'll keep watching the display, but I am going to move on to the next part about this. Okay, cool. I got some ones, and I'm going to grab my. I don't have a pink drink tonight, but I do have my Yeti. It's kind of hot out here. And all right. So cool, I got a bunch of ones. Awesome. All right. Now what I want to hit is looking at the details on when this is happening. And what I'm talking about is whenever you get into a situation where you're starting to feel a little anxious, you're starting to feel anxiety, you're starting to get irritated, and typically you don't really know where it's coming from. Every one of us who's been through this trauma, this long-term trauma, more than likely is going to have this problem. You have a lifetime of abuse, of emotional gaslighting, and then what happens is somebody else triggers that, and it causes those feelings to come back, and then you're focusing everything on what's immediately going on. So the first thing you really want to do on this is you want to pause and really review the situation. So when you notice that you're doing it, you basically give yourself a break. You take a pause and really look at what's going on. And that rolls into the next part, which is like, what is going on around you? What is causing the situation, right? Is it a friend? Is it a coworker? Is it a boss? What is the situation? And think about what you're feeling, and then look at, okay, I wasn't feeling like this a minute ago, I wasn't feeling like this before, so now I'm in this situation where this is what's going on. So what's changed, right? It's really important to look at that. And that's what I was saying the next one was, does your current situation remind you of a previous one? And when I was talking to Leslie about this, one of the issues, she was kind of, we both were talking about this because I've had the same thing where you get to the point where you're starting to have this response, you're starting to get really frustrated, and you think it's because of them. You know that the other person is annoying you and is basically triggering you, and you're trying to basically control your own emotions with it. You're either flat out responding, you're either basically having a reaction, or you might even be shutting down a little bit and trying to okay, what's going on, and just getting more and more frustrated and more triggered, and you really start singularly focusing on the situation. Here's the thing. Take the step back, right? Look at at your situation objectively. Rick says being mindful, absolutely. I should have wrote that in there. That's what you have to take the pause. You have to take the pause and really think about it. And the next part about this is really think about, is the response that you're having normal? Is that the way you would really respond normally? I'll give you guys a story that happened when I was in high school. I had a friend of mine who I hung out with every day. And I remember one point, and I was really stressed, right? I mean, things were terrible at home, and I was not doing well, to say the least. And what happened is, I had mentioned to this guy, I'm like, hey, I lost one of my books, like my science book. I'm like, man, have you seen my science book? And he's like, no, I don't know where it's at. And I remember a couple of days later, or maybe the later the day or whatever, I opened his trunk, and it was in his car. My book was in his car, and I freaked out. I had a response that was absolutely not appropriate nor normal for that situation. But I was so anxious and stressed from everything that was going on that I had this visceral reaction, and I reacted very poorly, by the way. I mean, what was I, 16, 17 years old, and I ended up aggressively grabbing the person and probably saying a few choice words because, I was really stressed. Now, the thing is I wasn't really stressed about him. I mean, was it that big of a deal? It wasn't like he was messing with me. It wasn't like he stole the damn thing. But because of all the stress that was going on and all the uncertainty and all the distrust and me not even believing my own environment, when that happened, my response was not appropriate for the situation. And that's a really big thing to remember and to look at and be aware of, so that you can kind of catch yourself when these things happen. All right, so you guys still with me? Are we still hearing people? You guys can get me a 1 or a thumbs up. I bet James said, I bet he never did that again though. Yeah, I felt really bad. I mean, it was not one of my more shining, here, let me give me some more light. It wasn't one of my more shining moments. And I was pretty, 56K, that should be good. I was not super thrilled with how I responded to that. So, but this can come up later in life, right? I mean, so keep in mind whenever stuff's going on, look at what's going on and really think about it, right? Say, okay, well, I'm feeling this way. Why am I feeling this way? Go back to the mindfulness stuff and then break it down on what it was. And this is when we were chatting, we were talking about a particular situation, and just as we were deep diving into it, it kind of became more clear, right? But at the time, and I've had the same problem, where you get into a situation where things are triggering you, is basically causing you a complex post-traumatic stress disorder response, and you're stuck in that, and you're not realizing it, right? You're being triggered about something that happened before. And in this particular situation, that's what we're talking about. And it was one of those things where the current situation was reminding, but not completely. It wasn't like, in the moment, you're able to say, oh, wow, I remember 2 years ago this thing happened, and this is what this is all about. Normally that's not the way it happens. It'd be nice if it was that the way it would happen, but that's normally not the way. Let's see what people are saying in the comments. So Nikki says, I've had a lot of those emotional moments embarrassing. Yeah, it's really, and see, here's the thing. If you're in that mode and you're being gaslit quite a bit, you can respond in a way that causes you more trouble, right? I was talking with someone at work the other day, and they were having a problem where somebody was saying that they had gone off and said some things, and were being disrespectful. And the person was trying to say, hey, I didn't do that. I wasn't me. And I'm like, dude, here's the problem. I've seen you do that. I didn't see this particular situation, but I've seen you do certain things. So it's not a far leap to think that it's true. So you might want to try to fix it, and he was able to. But, that's the thing. If somebody knows your responses, knows how you're going to respond and react, they can push your buttons, boop, they can do that, and get you to respond the way that fits their narrative, fits their story. And now you've just hurt your own credibility because, you have somebody whispering in their ear, saying that you're doing certain things, and then you end up doing it, and then they're like, oh my God, Billy was right. So hopefully this microphone, you didn't have to hear me swallow, but it's getting hot. So does that make sense? You guys, is that good? Before we move on to the next part, and I've kind of talked about this, but I want to just bulletize it down into another, into a better point. I'm trying to see if question. All right, what's the question, Bo Loop? I shall wait for your question as I check to see activity. I'm going to see how my battery's doing. What does it say? See, I'm trying to power it a little bit by a battery, so it's kind of helping a little bit, but it's not enough to do it, so it's slowly dying, but it won't give me a time frame. Anyways, let's see, what do we got here? What if somebody is hormonal? Well, okay. My take on that is there's never an excuse to treat people without respect and stuff like that, right? So you still have to have a boundary, right? So somebody can't be like, well, I'm hormonal right now, so I can treat you like crap, and it's just I'm hormonal, so you just have to put up with it. Well, no, that's not the way to deal with that. So you still have to have boundaries. You still need to be able to say, hey, you know what? I don't really appreciate the way you're treating me right now, so let's take a pause. It depends on the situation, right? If someone's in your house, just say, hey, you know what? You go to your side of the house, I'll go to my side of the house. Let's wait till things calm down, we'll talk again. If it's somebody that you're dealing with that you don't live with, then you just say, hey, you know what? I need to go. We'll hook up later and talk about it later. All right, let me see where we are with some of the comments. Oh, see, Lyle says, I'm very sensitive to false accusations. Yeah, see, that's a pretty, because he's been through the ringer, and as a result of that, anytime anybody, we've seen it, I know Lyle has that issue, and it's going to be tough, right? And see, that's where you got to be really careful, because whenever something happens, you want to be able to recognize it, say, okay, I need to take a moment, I need to think about this, and really decide what's really going on, right? So I think that's the biggest thing, is being able to catch yourself when these things are happening. That's really important. Bo Loop, our Boop Loop says, or if I'm hormonal and it's difficult to control myself. then what you need to do is, if you're having a problem, you need to excuse yourself from the situation. If you're getting hormonal and you're having these responses and you're not really sure what it is, recognize that you're doing it and say, hey, look, you know what? I've done this, right? I get like this every once in a while with Debbie, where I'll just get really frustrated, and not at Debbie, but just in general. And I'll be like, you know what? I need a break. You know, we need to, not a break as in like breaking up, but what I mean is like, hey, I'm gonna go lay down. I'm gonna go home. That type of thing. And I mean, it's important to do that. And if you can recognize it, you can stop yourself from doing it. Or not necessarily stop yourself, but you can keep the situation from getting worse. All right. What the L says, yeah, it can be hard to tell if your bad reaction is from being triggered or hormonal. Yeah, but I think that's a really good point. I hadn't thought, okay, so that's not really how I'm talking about this topic, but it's part of it, right? I mean, it's like looking at what's going on and saying, okay, is there any reason for it to happen? For instance, I know for me, with my diabetes, if my blood sugar gets out of whack, my mood goes to crap, right? I mean, my mood goes bad. So now when I start feeling really down, most of the time, sometimes I miss it, but most of the time I can pause and go, okay, you know what? I need to take a break, and I need to take a step back, and what's going on? It's like, all right, how's my blood sugar? Patink. And it's like, oh, well, there you go. Or have I eaten? There's things I know that totally screw with my mood and make me very, very edgy, quick to react, stuff like that. So that's a great question, and that's a good point. All right. Mr. Thinks 613 says, re-hormonal, all the more so they need the need for a pause. Yeah, and that's both, right? I mean, if you know that your partner, so here's the thing. So if Debbie knows that I get really frustrated or whatever, my blood sugar's out of whack, that would be a perfect storm and a narcissistic toxic person will do this. When you get out of whack, they'll use it to escalate the situation instead of de-escalate the situation. So anyways, man, we're like going through a decent amount of time. I do have to bail. I almost missed my daughter last time. So when we get towards the end of this, we'll wrap it up quick so I can pack everything up and go get her. So she's not just sitting over there by herself. You can kind of see the blue right here. She's over there somewhere. Okay, so I want to move to this one. All right. Now we've been talking about a lot of this on how to move forward, but I just want to recap it just to really drive the point home. Okay, like I said before, the first thing is recognizing what is going on. Really taking a pause and looking at the situation. I was talking about this hormonal thing. That's a good indicator. Is there a reason for me to act like this? For me, I know that if I'm tired, I haven't eaten, and my blood sugar's falling, I get irritable. And I'll people. And I need to recognize that, and I do now, and get myself out of the situation so I don't make it worse. I wonder if I can move this over just a tad because it's a little cutting off. I wonder if I can... Well, whatever, I'll just go with it. Okay, so the next part about this, and this is kind of just recapping again, is taking an objective look at the trigger. What exactly was it? If the person you're dealing with, this is a great example. If the person you're dealing with is having a hormonal issue, that's a reason, right? Doesn't necessarily mean, because we can get into this mode where we're like, oh crap, this person's doing this, they're a narcissist, they're doing all this stuff. Right? We can get into that mode, which is counterproductive. Don't need to do that. And but you need to recognize it, right? And then that's what I'm saying. Where are they? Question yourself. Is it really a toxic person? Right? If I'm having a bad interaction with somebody, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, this is this is NPD traits. Is that really the right answer to go to? Now, if you're dealing with your ex and stuff like that, yeah, absolutely stick with that. But if you're dealing with normal people in your life, there's no reason to immediately go to everybody's a narcissist or everybody's toxic, right? That gets thrown around a lot. Just because someone says, you know, I don't like chocolate ice cream and you love chocolate ice cream doesn't make them a narcissist. All right. Okay, so the last part about this is just approaching things differently. And what I mean by this is taking charge, and we've been talking a lot about this, but taking charge of your emotion, taking charge of what's happening. Meaning, if you're dealing with somebody who is having a hormonal thing, taking charge of it and saying, hey, you know what? You're normally not like this. You got a lot of stuff going on. You know, let's just take a step back. Why don't you get something to eat? Why don't you, whatever might be the right, appropriate response, maybe you should take a nap. Like for me, I mean, that would be a good thing. It's like, hey, if somebody was saying it to me, be like, hey, Duane, man, you're really irritable. That's really not normally like you unless you're having an issue. Maybe, check your blood sugar, maybe drink some water. I'll do that right now. And, take care of yourself, right? You can do it. Make sure you don't do it condescendingly, and be careful because there's a good chance that if the person is having an issue, they might really take that. They might take that wrongly. Just keep that in mind. We're trying to de-escalate these situations, I'm going to just crank my ISO up a little bit. Oh, wow, that's way too bright. Not make it worse. Exercise, yeah, that's a good one too. King Domain says, would you advise meditation to the viewers? Absolutely. I don't necessarily meditate because I don't really know how to do it, but there's a lot of things I do to keep my environment calm. Absolutely. I think that meditation, I wish I could wrap my head around it. Debbie did that for a while. And everyone I've talked to says it really works well. I think I have like a hybrid meditation that I do, and I just probably need to spend some time learning how to do it. And exercise, absolutely, because you need to be able to, that's healthy anyways. So let's see what else we got going on. And that is tonight's topic. So I would love to hear what you guys think about this and if it makes sense. And if you have any questions, please let me know. My battery is doing okay, and excuse me. Man, it sure is getting dark quick though. That's crazy. And I'm sure I'm sticking out like a sore thumb with a freaking light on me and a computer screen and talking, so people got to be like, what the heck is this? What's this guy doing? All right. Marcus 123 says, good points. I justified staying with my narc for way too long. Marcus, I think we all do that. I was mostly blaming on her hormonal mood swings until I figured out in my head. I finally got my head out of the dark orifice. Oh, Tiger says yoga has helped tremendously with reining in my emotions. That is awesome. Guys, we can take active steps to help calm our lives. And I just want to go back down on what Marcus was saying. That's one thing about this being real. Okay, this doesn't necessarily what I'm talking to pertains to dealing and interactions with your ex. I'm primarily talking about this when you're having these responses because of what you've dealt with your ex and interactions with other people. Be very careful with your ex giving them excuses and thinking or second guessing yourself. All of us have to go through that point where you can't just immediately go, you're the devil and, run out the door, right? I mean, it'd be nice if we could figure that out, but it doesn't really work that way. But there comes a point in time to where the behavior is just unacceptable. I have some friends who are going through something similar where they're really trying to fight for their marriage and they're putting boundaries down and they're like, okay, you have to do these things to get back on track or it's going to be a problem for the relationship. Hold on one second. I'm going to grab something. Or I'm going to try to grab something if I can figure out how to get back in my bag. There, don't mind me. Hopefully this is not annoying. Okay, stand by. Let me get this going. Try trying to. Come on. Come on. This will work. Talking to myself. This is awesome. Whoops. All right. While I'm trying to turn stuff on, if you guys can, if anyone has any issues or anything you want to chat with on this, please let me know. There we go. I'm going to just put this on top of the camera to give me a little bit more light. Okay. All right. Okay, that's kind of weird, but all right. Oh, this is cool. Lyle says some good has come out of it. I find I am now more sensitive to other people's problems. Good. I find that I'm nicer to other people. Well, see, and that's the thing. Once you can kind of start capturing what you're doing, you can catch yourself and then take a step back instead of thinking everyone's trying to attack you. That's good though, Lyle. I'm really glad to hear that. Can you guys hear the screaming? That would be an emotional reaction. Marcus says, by the way, Duane, thanks for bringing up the Alex at the Proper Person channel. His videos are awesome. Yes, they are. And he's very helpful. I'm starting self-representation now after 8 months with a lawyer. Well, good for you. And in case for you guys that don't know, let me, you can find Alex over on YouTube at the Proper Person. And God, right there. Sorry about that. Could you guys, hey, could you guys hear the screaming? I'm just curious if this mic picked it up. If you could, give me a 1, just so if you can still hear the screaming. Holy hell. Anyways, Alex, the Proper Person, he's awesome. Check him out. A lot of great videos. If you want to learn more about the process and you just get even a sanity check on your attorney, I would encourage you to check him out. Very good stuff. He did a broadcast live from within a courtroom and he recorded it. I talked to him today. I'm trying to help him. Awesome. You guys can hear the screaming. Is there a mass murderer on the loose? You're awesome, Lyle. I love that. Only with headphones on, Andrew. Oh, that's awesome. Sorry, guys. That's the adventures of being out, being out in the middle of nowhere. Anyways, oh my God, I lost my train of thought. Okay, so let's see. Oh, Bears is on. I haven't seen that. So this is so on target. I absolutely blew up with my sister. I don't know if I overreacted or if she might be a narcissist. No wonder she never got along with my ex. They fought for control of me. Yeah. See, that's the thing. You do have to question whether or not, you know, is the other person really toxic. A lot of times I would say with family people, there's a good chance it is because we probably grew up in that situation. Oftentimes that's really what happened and that's how we kind of got into this situation. All right, let's see. So I am slowly losing power, or I'm rapidly losing power. So I appreciate everyone's suggestions on the different battery solutions. I may try something. I'm kind of actually, I mean, it's weird doing this, but I kind of actually enjoy it. So I might continue to do this on Thursdays whenever I bring my daughter to tennis. So just do a little later live stream. Yeah. So before we start to wrap this up, are there any other issues that you guys want to hit? Any comments? Do you guys like this format? Was this a little bit better with the slide, you know, with the topic and being kind of live with the screaming mass murderer? You guys will have to tell me if, you know, somebody comes up behind me. Oh, dear God. And my signal looks like it's completely dying again. Okay. So I'm going to start wrapping this up because I'm running out of time and I got to pack everything up and go find my daughter. So let me see. I'm just checking some of the comments. Let me make it a little bit bigger. And yeah, guys. So thank you for hanging out with me on this Thursday evening. I appreciate it. If you guys like what I do and you want to support it, I do have a Patreon. www.patreon.com/DSD Duane. If you want to support the channel, you can check that out. And thank you guys for spending the time with me and hanging out and putting up with actually, I think everything technically went okay today. So I think everything went really well. So on that, keep your anxiety under control, or be cognizant of it. When you're having those CPTSD responses, take a step back, slow yourself down. A lot of times that's the main thing. Look at other active things that you can do to help yourself. Meditation, mindfulness, yoga, exercise, like a lot of the other things people are talking about. Medication, like in my case, I need to make sure that I freaking take my medication and I don't, my blood sugar stays at the right level. We can take an active role in our own recovery and in our mental health. So on that, guys, bugs are starting to come out. I'm gonna wrap this up, and I'll chat with you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye.